Welcome to the Studio Caldwell podcast. It's 2024. Woo! We made it. Yay. So excited. Today we have Lisa Richard today with us, Battalion Chief.
Deputy Fire Marshal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Big deal in the city of Caldwell. Well, Lisa, thanks for joining us. Please just let us know about you as a person and tell us what a Battalion Chief, Deputy Fire Marshal does.
Okay. So about me, I've been with the city about 6.5 years. Prior to that, I was a banker. So I came into the city initially as the assistant to the chief, which was a really great opportunity. I had great mentors on that. They provided me with the ability to go from basically having very little education to now I have my bachelor's degree. I've gotten FIT certified, which is Fire Investigation Technician certified. I'm a certified inspector, so I can inspect all the buildings in the city. I'm a certified plans examiner, so any developers that have projects in the city, I will look at the plans for water and access for fire response. What my job is with the city is we have inspectors under me now that I do the day-to-day. I make sure that they're staying on task, meeting the needs of the city, understanding what the community needs are. I kind of consider our division the before and after of an event. So we know the firefighters on the engine, they go out when we get a call. So when somebody calls 911, it sends the big red engine out. Our division, we try to prevent the fire from happening in the first place, or at least make it less severe. So our citizens and our firefighters are kept safe, and there's less damage to properties in our area. And then on the tail end of that, after the event, if we have a fire, we'll go out and try to determine what happened, how the fire occurred, and it kind of goes back to the beginning how we can prevent that from happening. That's kind of it in a nutshell, I guess. But yeah.
Cool. So a couple personal notes is your mom works for the city.
She does, yeah.
Many citizens might actually know her or see her without really knowing that it's your mom, because when they pay their water bill or get a dog license or something. But tell us about what it's like working for the city, with your mom, and tell us about you're married, you have some kids, right?
Sure.
Too. So can you tell us about them really quick?
Yeah. So my mom works for the city. She works for the water department. She's takes the bills. She's worked for the building department as well as doing some permit tech type work over there. So she's worked with a lot of people within the community. She's never had like that real career life. She always kind of did odds and ends and worked from home. So she's super excited to have this type of opportunity to work for the city. And I think most people enjoy seeing her when they come in. I am married. I've been with my husband for 13 years now. We have twin daughters. They're 8.
That's exciting. Keeps you busy, I'm
sure. It does. Yeah, they're getting little personalities, acting like they're 15,
Yeah, nice. So what are some hot topics in the fire world that you'd like to bring up?
Yeah, so again, we try to get ahead of those calls, right? We're trying to figure out how we can reduce those calls. Fires are always going to happen. That's just the nature. That's what keeps us going. We're here for the community, but we always look for up and coming things. So hot topics are EV, cars, lithium ion batteries. Pretty much anything that's rechargeable is going to have those batteries in them. And what we're seeing as those batteries are getting older, they might be getting damaged. People are buying generic chargers from Amazon that aren't particularly made for that device, and it's causing those batteries to go into thermal runaway, which is creating more house fires, more apartment fires. We're seeing them almost daily in New York, where they're seeing electric scooters igniting in these storage closets that they have over there, and it's creating big problems over there. You've probably seen on the news the death tolls and whatnot. So we're trying to get ahead of that. And there's lots of ways we can do that, not only educating the community about how to properly charge those things, checking for damage, making sure you have the proper charging equipment, but also in engineering. So we also look at fire protection systems, building construction, those types of things. So if we know ahead of time during a building construction, say in an apartment complex, we can build those rooms to where they are more fire resistive, including some early detection, so we can get people out of the building. The most important thing is life safety, right? So the building can be rebuilt. Our job is number one is life safety, and number two would be property conservation. So if we can get the people out of the building, the sprinkler systems should do their job. They are very effective. It's been shown over and over and over again that they're basically having a little firefighter in your property. Once those things are activated, they're going to contain that fire and try to keep it small until the fire service can get there and make sure it's completely out. So I think the EV topic is probably the hottest one right now, because we're on this trajectory of everyone moving to EV vehicles. So it's inevitably going to become something, a point of concern. We need to get ahead of that and figure out how to mitigate that now, so we don't have tragic loss. Most of the fire code's written on tragedy, and the fire service is trying to get a little bit smarter and try to think ahead, and get ahead of those code requirements. So hopefully we can start making those changes before we have severe loss.
Yeah. Okay. Tell us, what's it like being a battalion chief, deputy chief to the fire marshal?
It's good. So my boss is Chief Perry. He is the fire marshal. He is kind of the tip of the spear for our division. He reports directly to the chief. Him and I have a very close and candid relationship, I would say. We have different personalities, and I think that's really worked in our advantage as we almost balance each other out, and where he is more comfortable handling some of the operations or like those kind of things with the line. I handle most of the developer issues, anything like that. So I feel like we have a pretty good relationship that we can cover all the bases, where before it seemed like if you're very similar in personality, you're missing the boat in some places. So I think it's been a really good partnership overall, I think. So,
yeah. Be different enough.
Yeah,
exactly. So you see things differently and consider different things.
And we're really open to each other. Like we don't attack each other. If we have different opinions, or we just talk those out, get with the code and see what the intent of the code is meant to be. And then we come to a conclusion of the direction we would like to go. But yeah, it's been good.
Sure. So let me ask you this: as the fire marshal, the deputy fire marshal,
mm-hmm.
what are some things that you might want to talk to the businesses or just people that you interact with, your clientele that you're around? What are some things that maybe it's common misconceptions or things that you're like, man, it'd be really good for y'all to know like this?
Let's see. So I guess from a division level, I would say that our intent is the best interest for not only the building owners, but also the community members. And I mean, my number one priority is keeping not only the community safe, but the firefighters safe. Our objective is to get our community developers where they want to go, but we want to make sure that we're keeping that safety level. And I think sometimes maybe that's misunderstood, that we're just reading the code book and like it's just the letter of the law. It's not necessarily that, but we're open to listening to other ideas of, as long as we're meeting that same level of safety. That's the bottom line. Like we need to make sure that that we're not giving up safety for profit. I guess is like a big thing. And as far as like business owners that are, I think training your employees or staff on how to get out of your building, what to do when there is an emergency, who to call, having those procedures in place. And then depending on how the size of the building, making sure that we're aware of what that plan is, because accountability is going to be critical. The first thing our engine is going to want to know when they arrive on a scene is if everyone is out of the building. It really changes our tactics if we think people are still inside. And then we're risking firefighters' lives that may not be necessary if nobody's in there. They might be less aggressive if it's structure and they don't need to go inside. So there's just some key things that just making sure you're communicating with your fire department so we know when we do respond, we know what's in place, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Lisa, what's the best way for the public to show love to the fire department? I know they might bring like lunch or, here or at one of the stations. But from your perspective, what do you appreciate the most that the public could do or can do for y'all?
So I know for the line, they get they get treats pretty often, and I think I've heard a lot of them say that they would prefer donations to the burnout fund. They would just prefer that gratitude go back to the community. And I think I feel the same way. Like, I think if we can build partnerships or figure out, like from our division, we love to work with other entities that share our goals. And if we can share resources and build those relationships, like that to me is love right there, right? We build that relationship. We can just do the greater good for our community if we all get together. So that's what I would like. But.
And maybe it's just me being naive, but what's the burnout fund for?
So the burnout fund is a fund that is by our local. So the firefighters are a union, so they have a local fund that people can put into. They put into. We have a golf tournament every year that puts into, and what those funds do is they provide immediate resources for families that suffer loss from fire. So, some of our families don't have insurance, or there is usually a lull between when insurance will fund and the fire event, and when the insurance will kick in. So it gives them a hotel stay, some gift card to Walmart or something, so they can go get some toiletries and some clothes. So if you have a fire, even if it's a pretty minimal fire, all of your stuff is going to be smoke ridden. It's very tough to clean. It's very toxic. To all your food has to be thrown out. It's a mess. So it's just to help those families get through until insurance starts giving them some funding.
Yeah.
So,
wow, that's a cool.
It's great fun. It's amazing. Yeah.
It's a good thing.
Yeah.
So speaking of love, want to give you some love as far as the highest ranking female in the fire department in Caldwell ever. Can you tell us more about that? And I think as a society, we don't celebrate people and things as much, because I get it. There's the opposite where it's like, hey, check it out. Look how cool I am. But in this case, I feel like you're really, introverted, reserved, and you're like, yeah, it's cool. But for me, I'm like, no, like, let's celebrate you.
Thank you for that.
So can you just tell us, what that looks like? Sure. And I think you said there was like one other lady in northern Idaho with a similar position, I guess. And maybe one last thing is, if there's other ladies out there who aspire to get into fire, or maybe they don't even know it yet, but just seeing you, maybe it's like, hey, maybe I can do that. Like, what would you say for those folks also?
Sure. You're right. It is something that's difficult to celebrate, especially with the company I'm in, right? These men and women that are on the line, or they work very hard and they do amazing things. And so to put yourself near that is it's an internal culture thing that's it can be a challenge. And while I'm so happy to be here, I really respect our firefighters, and they are just amazing. So I do appreciate that, and thank you. Yeah, and this is only, I don't know the other female. She's in a chief position, but I've been told there's one other in the state currently. There has been others in the past, so it's not a new thing. It's new for Caldwell that I'm aware of. I haven't heard that anyone else has held that type of ranking here in the city. And then for anyone that wants to get into fire, I would say visiting the fire stations, getting to know the people there. The culture is a big thing. It's very different than a corporation or anything like that. Public service is very unique in that way. It's family oriented, and yeah, the people you serve with, it's an honor to say that you're in that world, I guess. So just getting to know the people, getting to know the culture, and then preparing yourself. I think that's what I've tried to do from the very beginning. Even before it was my role, I wanted to understand the fire service. So I took classes, I took everything I could to try to understand. I rode on the engine. I went through the fire academy that I didn't necessarily have to do for my role, but I wanted to feel what it felt like to be in those conditions, because I felt like if I knew how it felt, I could better educate my community on what that means and why it's important that we have the fire doors closed, or whatever those circumstances are. If I've lived it and felt it, I could communicate that better. So I think education and immersing yourself in
right.
it. So
let's talk about the guys for a second.
Yeah.
This is random.
Okay.
So what's the whole deal with when I look at a firefighter and or their picture, especially of the guys?
Yeah.
It's like this huge, burly, like crazy mustache.
Yeah.
Or super clean shaven. So can you tell me more about what's behind that?
Sure. Kind of.
Okay.
The crews can probably do a little bit more of the history behind the mustache, because I don't know the exact details. But so one thing about how they shave is their facial hair all has to fit within the SCBA mask. So they can't have anything that's outside of that, is why they only have the mustache or said whatever. They do have, I think in October or November, they have like a contest that they typically will raise money for, or something like that, where everyone grows a mustache. And like I said, they can give you the history behind all of that. I can't grow one, so I don't participate. So even some of my inspectors could probably give you a little bit more insight on that. But yeah, I haven't been able to participate. So.
Yeah, I guess it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Last thing, was there any last tidbits or things that you wanted to cover before we conclude?
Caldwell is just it's a growing city. I think we're heading in some really exciting times, but with that, there's growth, and we need to be prepared for everything that comes with that. So I think the more ahead of the game we can get, the better off we all will be. And so that's including personnel, and then just getting out and being part of the community and making sure people are aware of little things that they can be more self-reliant overall. It shouldn't be all on the fire department to make sure everyone is safe all the time. There's some ownership in that, and there's lots of little things that people can do to keep themselves safe.
Cool. Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.